Oh, good morning and welcome to PFY Live, May 26th. I can't even believe May's almost over, but it has been a glorious end to the month. The sun is shining, and at least here in Minnesota. What's going on in Texas today, Michael?
Well, we are under our third 100-year flood in a month, so I don't know if we should still be calling them 100-year floods. I don't know if we should do it. I think we should change the name after a while.
So did you build an ark yet?
Yes, and they're showing up 2 by 2, except they're relatives. It's crazy. Yeah, it's been wet. It's been wonderful. You know, when I first moved out here from California, we had the wettest summer almost on record, and it was wonderful. It rained once a week, cooled everything down. I think we got over 100 one day, and I'm like, this is the best kept secret in America. I love this place. It's lush and green, and it's wonderful. And then the next year is like, oh, that's what they're talking about. It's hell. It's so, I mean, it's like 7th level. That's crazy. But
Oh my gosh.
it's been wet this year. It's been actually really great. So wet.
So wet. Oh my goodness. Well, we could use some more rain. We have had a little bit of rain, but it's a little bit dry for our farmers up here. So we could use a little rain. But I know, send it our way. Right. All right. What are you drinking today?
Oh, I'm drinking a little bit of Peru blend, which I love in my everyday faith.
Yes.
Everyday faith. Yeah. But you know, Lent changed me. I really like my coffee black with a little bit of cinnamon.
Okay.
Cinnamon every day. This is one of your go-tos.
Lent did not change me. And I am an iced coffee girl. So I'm iced coffee with a little bit of cream and a little bit of sugar-free vanilla flavoring today. So loving that.
Is it sugar-free?
Yeah, that's what they say on the bottle.
It's like saying 1 calorie Coke. Is it really? Is it really 1 calorie? What if they miss that? What's that one comedian say? What if they miss, you know, what if it's like 0 calories for like 100 of them, and then 1 can's got all the calories? It's just, how do they know? Right? Like 1 power can, you know?
Oh my gosh. Well, whatever is in there is going to kill us either way, whether it's sweet or not sweet, or calorie or not calorie, right?
That's right. You know what? If it gets me to the Lord, I'm in. So come on.
Hey, it's all about the dirt, right? All about getting to the Lord, Okay, before we dive into our topic of the 5 love languages, I just have to share with you. So, you know, I built this beautiful flower garden out here, right outside my window here in my home office last year, put perennials in because annuals are too putsy for me. And so I have all these annuals coming up. Beautiful. Picked my first peony.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, look, I know, right? I wish you could smell it because it smells just lovely. But also have hummingbird feeders. I know, right? Have hummingbird feeders and oriole feeders out here. And this morning, an oriole just up to the window, feeding at my window feeder, like suction cup to the window. And then I have this little hummingbird swing. Now, Yogi thinks it's the goofiest thing. Okay, it's this little swing for the hummingbirds. Okay, the oriole was swinging on it today, and he was drinking out of the hummingbird feeders. But just, you know, they're beautiful orange and glorious. And I was like, oh, praise God! I just needed to see that beauty today. And my garden.
Is that you just created a little Shangri-La? It's just a little Shangri-La. Does like one of the bigger birds push the smaller birds on the swing? Is it one of those things? So great.
No, but I had to run and tell Yogi because I'm like, hey, my swing is being used. It's not. Oh my gosh. So
I spend an hour, you know, in the morning, power hour out on the patio, and once it kind of gets more towards non-winter, I love the patio in the morning, so you watch the sunrise and you get to know some of the creatures. You know, my wife does landscaping, residential landscaping, so I love peonies, just absolutely, flowers as big as your face, so I totally get it. But she creates these ecosystems in your yard that are incredible. And in the morning, it's just amazing. God shows up everywhere. I mean, we have these geckos and these horny toads, called horny toads. They're basically big old lizards. They're about that big. But I literally had a guy on the branch today, and this is what I love. I don't know if you'll get this or not, but you see lizards, and you're looking right at them, and they do this. It's like they acknowledge you. It's like, hey, how you doing? Good to see you.
Don't they like stick their tongue out too all the time at you?
Well, if they do, they're looking for a mate. So I hope they're not doing it to
Oh.
me. They're either smelling things or they got that big rant thing, you know. It's like,
guess I need to watch some more Wild Kratts.
that's exactly right. You're watching the wrong shows, Amy. You got to become educated on these things.
Apparently so. We don't really have those creatures here. You know, we have the little rabbits that are eating some of my stuff in my garden, and we have, you know, still have a dog, and that is alive by the hair of its chin.
Really?
Oh yeah.
On his way to heaven?
Yep, he was on his way to heaven earlier this week. I had to I said, but Yogi, I said, I'm tapped out. I will kill him. I gotta leave.
I will send him to heaven. I'm going to have to take you to heaven. Yeah.
Oh, I'm like, I like this.
Kids feel that way about me sometimes.
Yeah, this bird haven works for me, you know. Anyways, so enjoying God's nature is refreshing, doesn't it? It just recharges you.
Oh yeah, I find that scripture actually explodes when I'm outside.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I don't know why. I have a little ritual. I have a candle. I light a candle. Just Jesus being the light of the world. I love that visual. Get you focused. You need that focus thing. And sometimes it's the rosary. Sometimes it's reading. But the nature always explodes whatever you're doing for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. I just love that.
So we encourage people.
Yeah.
Get out and pray in nature.
Yeah.
Spend time with the beauty that God has created for us.
Pick a time. If you're not picking a time, I don't know where that teaching came from. I hear it from all over, but all the saints. I love reading Catherine of Siena. I just love reading Catherine of Siena. She's my go-to. That and Frank Sheed. He blows my mind. But I love reading Catherine. And one of the things she always talks about in her treatise on prayer is it's a dedicated time. You have to be, you put in time. And as soon as you say, oh yeah, I'm getting up at 6 every morning, it will not happen. The world will Satan don't want it.
Yes.
So it's amazing.
So true.
It makes me laugh at some of the stuff that kind of goes, why is that creeping in, Lord? You're so obvious. Satan, back off. He's just kind of taking you away from that. As soon as you say, I'm going to do this, it's like, are you really? Let's put a test to that. Yeah. Let
me show you how weak you are. How weak you are, right? I just read Matthew Kelly's, I think it was one of his new books called One Moment on the Bookshelf.
Oh. Wow, nice. I heard God laugh.
Yeah. And it is about creating that scheduled prayer time. And then he just gives a little sample. It's, very similar to other prayer samples, you know what I mean? Praise and thanksgiving, and awareness, significant moments, peace, freedom, others, and then finish. And so he, just that encouragement of spending time in prayer with the Lord every single day and starting out with a few minutes and then growing from there. So with that, that's one of our 5 love languages. It's God's, I'm sure. Quality time, right?
Time. It's one of his favorites. If you want to know God's love languages, that's the big one.
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know the 5 love languages, Michael, do you have the book there? I'm sure.
I was going to say, I do have the book. I wonder if I have it handy. I give out a lot. I think it's probably one of my favorite books to give out for people that are saying, any family issues. It's like, what do I do? Start here.
Yeah.
Start with the 5 love languages. I think I literally gave my last one out yesterday.
And they've written 5 love languages for teens, right? I think, and then understanding the 5 love languages of your child and of your spouse as well, which is super great. I've read that one too. And what are the 5 love languages that we talk about in the book? And then, let's just name them first. Let's start there.
Yeah, I always, especially when I don't have my props in front of me, and I apologize for jumping through the hoops and being a little bit late this morning, but had a client call go long. So I don't have everything in front of me. But the 5 languages are time, obviously, touch, gifts, words of affirmation, and
acts of service.
Acts of service. That's right. Acts of service. Do you know what yours are in order? So essentially what the book is about, and it's such a masterful job of helping you understand that, we all have a way that we receive love and a way that we give love. And when you start to understand that we all approach things a little bit differently, and it's not that we're one, it's not that you pick your, oh, my love language is this, but there is a hierarchy, and we want all of them, and we use all of them. I mean, we're creatures. God has given us hands and feet and senses, because we're a tactile animal. And so not only do we have this beautiful insight of our knowledge, but we also experience life with our bodies. And so we have this ability to connect with each other through language, and so it's a matter of giving love and receiving love. And there's a hierarchy of the 5, and you take this very quick test, and it gives you some insights as to here's what your order might be, and then it kind of breaks them down and tells you about each one of them, so that you kind of understand who you're dealing with and working with, well, especially in your family. But if you want to really impact a relationship, focus on how they receive love compared to how you give love, because we all receive and give love, maybe not the same ways. But if I understand that, I adjust according to what you need, as opposed to what I like, which is my go-to, but it might not be how you receive it. So just the concept of wrestling with those ideas is so good for relationships. Yeah. Just to bring up the conversations. Do you know what your order is?
I know that I receive love by acts of service is my first one. Probably words of affirmation, my second. Then the others, I'm not sure. I always just knew the top 2. I think my way of giving is probably acts of service as well. Because it sometimes is the same way you receive, right?
Sometimes, yeah. Most of the time, actually.
Most of the time it is, yeah.
You don't think about it. You just, here's what I like. We just subconsciously just do it.
Right. What about you?
Mine is words of affirmation, big time. I have this voice that sits on my shoulder, like most people, but mine's actually huge and has like a crowd with them, and whispers in my ear constantly, "You don't know what you're doing. You're an idiot. And by the way, just this constant. I've had it since I was a kid." And so especially my wife, she knows that it's very, oh, I think we're getting too deep into the woods too early, but my wife knows that she needs to say things, especially like if I've done a keynote, especially if it's a keynote on faith, that little voice destroys me. It destroys me. I think of all the things I didn't say, missed, I was off track too fast, and it just beats me up. But my wife knows that as soon as I get done, she says, "I love this. I love this. You did this. I love this. It was amazing." And it just kills the voice. Yeah. So words of affirmation, gifts are big. I'm a big gift getter. If you want to just make me a gift, that would be great. Touch, time, and acts of service.
Oh.
Do you know what your spouse is?
Yes. My spouse is words of affirmation and physical touch, and then quality time, and then probably gifts and acts of service. So it's just like the opposite, right? Like, oh, no wonder. Usually, right?
Isn't that a great aha? It usually is.
So I'm like, hey, doing the dishes, like detailing my car, doing the laundry, running to get groceries, sweeping the floor, all of that stuff just sings love to me. And not that I don't love a bouquet of flowers or a gift too, but that like puts some money in the bank. You know what I mean?
The love bank, yeah.
The love bank, yeah. And I think it's interesting for children. Like Eddie definitely is physical touch. Now that I think might change as he grows, maybe, but I think he very much is a physical touch kid. He likes to be next to you. He likes to touch you. He likes to hold your hand. And quality time, but I think that's probably a kid's one just in general too. I love this tool of understanding your love languages, and I use it actually when hiring people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that this dovetails beautifully in Michael, what we've been talking about over the last several weeks about communication and celebrating people. And, if someone on your team indicates that, something that would speak love to them out of, if you want to give them something on appreciation, and they are a words of affirmation person, man, just, lavish them with words of affirmation would make more difference, right, than giving them a gift, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing where the concept becomes a tool.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's with your family or with your ministry team, understand this, that, I get most things done without authority. I love asking leaders this question. If I took your title away from you, would they still follow? And in ministry, we kind of get that without really thinking about it, because we don't have a lot of authority that if I say this, you must do this. We're not like, the centurion that basically says, I get leadership. I tell them to go and they go. Why? Because they'll be dead if they did not. So, we don't have that authority like that, but there's a difference between authority and influence. And this is a massive tool on influence. When you really try to understand the people that you live with and the people that you work with in how they receive and how they give love, then I can help channel those types of personalities in how they do things. For instance, and I'll use my wife. My wife is a complete opposite of me too. Direct opposite in everything. Myers-Briggs, love languages, everything's the complete opposite. And that's actually been a great eye-opening, because when we were dating, when I was a kid, we were dating when she had just turned 16. I was 16 years old. She had just turned 16, and we were kids. And we got married at 19. So we grew together as far as understanding each other. And in the beginning, I would write her sonnets. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but I would write her lots of cards. And on these cards, they'd be filled, just filled. Let me just barf everything I think about you, because my love language is words of affirmation. So I would tell her all these things, and I would get frustrated because she'd go, "Is this a card for me? Thanks." Okay. One of the things, and there was nothing. It was just like, cool. No hits, no nothing. I was like, I don't understand this woman. But when we learned the love languages, and I realized that her major love language was acts of service after we were married, now every morning, the first thing I do when I wake up is make sure the trash is out, is changed. You empty the trash every day. There's no dishes in the dishwasher. And that's before I hit the hour. So I got to make sure I get up so that when she wakes up, there's no dish. She loves that. Loves it. It drives her. I can't tell you how much she loves it. And she doesn't have to tell me directly. I just see it, Yeah. And she really appreciates those things. And it changes everything. Yeah. Well, with my volunteer army that works with me in ministry, when I know what people's love languages are, it helps me give them what they need for reinforcement, for coaching, for all those things, because I want them to feel part of what's going on. And the more I know how they work, how they receive love, and how they give love, it helps them, really step up and to know how to behave as well. So I use it in ministry all the time. As a matter of fact, if you're looking for a way to connect with your people tonight, go to lovelanguages.com, 5lovelanguages.com, take the test, get into it, and then use that simple test as a way of having a retreat with your volunteers. Have an evening of it. Talk about it. What was your love language? What do you think that means? What do you think and the conversation just explodes, and it gives everybody a real insight into how they work and how they work with others. It's so good.
Yeah. My parents were opposites as well. My dad, like you, give me gifts, man, gifts, and get Christmas was piles of gifts, and Dad was happy. My mom was quality time. Sit on the couch with me, right? And quality
sit on
time.
My lap with me on the couch.
Yeah. On the couch, right?
I don't care for 26. You're my son. Get over here and sit on my lap.
Right. And so my dad would buy my mom gifts. She would appreciate them, but it didn't speak to her love language at all. You know what I mean? But we knew that about our dad. We knew gifts. Get dad a gift, man, and he was in heaven. And then after that, I think words of affirmation were certainly his. But he just quality time. And it seems so simple. I have a sister, one of my sisters is all about quality time. She has 9 kids, and we could be there and they're racing all about and crazy happening. And she's like, well, let's just sit down and chat. She's just she wants to just engage in your life and have quality time. And I think for some people that doesn't feel as valuable, right? It doesn't feel as valuable as I spent $25 or $50 or $100 on this gift. And that feels like a much bigger investment, right? Than quality time or even picking up the broom and sweeping, right? But it's not. Like, I think we have to recognize that those other ways of appreciating will mean more to some people depending on their love language.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we focus, if you don't put some real thought into it, what happened, or at least some understanding that we have a tendency to love others the way we want to receive love. And I this is not my story, but I remember reading the story, and it makes total sense, where a guy is having an anniversary, a 1-year anniversary with his bride, and what he does is he plans the entire day. I mean, they wake up in the morning and they go walking in a favorite park that they first met at, and then they end up getting in to a carriage, and they go out to their first date where they first met, and they had their first dinner, and then they end up getting on a plane that evening, and they fly to where they had their honeymoon, and it was just this magical day. And at that evening, when they finally get to their destination, and they're having dinner where they had their honeymoon and they're having their dinner, they get the check and they pay for the check, and the wife has this look about her like, this is amazing. This is I can't wait. It's really great. And she, at the end of dinner, she says, "Are we going to open up gifts?" And the husband's like, "What are you talking about?" She says, "Well, it's our anniversary. Are we going to open up our gifts?" He says, "This whole day has been gifts. This day is the gift." He was disappointed, and the story goes on to explain it. But it's really classic because his love language is time, and so spending time with you and everything. Her number one love language was gifts, and so she did not make the connection between the time and the gifts. So it's a real understanding of the people that you work with. And I got 2 more quick examples. In ministry, we have one person that worked on our team, and the person who was our youth minister was so good at this. Classic. And so we had one person that worked with us who was a chatty patty. You knew that if she started talking to you, it was going to be 15 minutes to an hour, easy, because her love language was time and connection. But she was in, huge about it. It was too much, to where you knew. And so people would usually go, they take off. But here's how good Debbie was. She knew that it had to be controlled a little bit. Otherwise, we'd be talking about everything forever. So what she did is she gave this person clues as to, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here. You've got 5 minutes. I've got 5 minutes for you. What are you going to do?" And she stopped everything for 5 minutes. And that was good to keep it in time, but to really take it to a new level, every once in a while, she would say to this person, "Hey, I've got some time. Can I just spend some time with you? I've been thinking about you today." And she'd pull her into her office and give her 15 minutes whenever she could. And it wasn't all the time, but man, every once in a while, she just said, she went and sought her out to say, I've got 15 minutes. I've been thinking about you. How you doing? And it bonded. This woman would go to hell and back for whatever Debbie wanted, and it wasn't manipulative. It was just that she knew this is what she needed, and she knew that about all of us. And it was great just to say, the people that I know serve our church so well, she went out of her way to reward them with what they needed the most. Yeah. And it was just genius. That's why I really love this type of thing, because I saw it in action and done so well.
Yeah. That's amazing that she recognized that, and that she took the time, but also was put some boundaries in it that worked really well, right? And then had these little moments, days of, "Hey, come on in and let's spend some more time together." And I was just thinking while you were saying that, if I worked at a parish and I knew that the secretaries love languages was, right? Because they're like the doorkeeper of everything. Like, I would just hone in on that because they're the person who's going to, get your copying done and forward your phone calls. And, that's going to be the person you want to know what their love language is and to be able to love them in that way. And I think that I love your idea earlier too, Michael, of studying this with your volunteer army, that core team or the volunteers, adults or teens, right? Your peer ministers that you have in your group, on helping them to understand their love language and then how to give and receive in that way. Just such a beautiful gift.
I really want to emphasize what you just said about this is not adult school tools. This is everybody. There is nothing better you can do for a young person than to help them understand that we impact each other through our love languages. And what it does is it gets them thinking past themselves, which is hard to do as a teenager because everything is self-focused. You're changing so much. You're growing so much. How can you not be self-focused with just getting through life? But it's a wonderful way to get them to think about others, get past themselves and to think about others and to do for others and to start having an awareness of what others need. It's just a wonderful exercise for youth. It really is.
I can see them bringing that home, right? And knowing that, oh, if my mom loves to receive gifts, then hey, on Mother's Day and her birthday, and I better get mom a little gift, right? Encourage others in the family to do it too. And I mean, I've seen that happen in families where that awareness, that recognition of this is something, and it's simple, right? I mean, kind of back to my dad who loved gifts. It didn't have to be something that cost a lot of money. As long as it was in wrapping paper with a bow on it, he was excited to get it and unwrap it and just, the thrill of the gift. He was just, so.
Give me the box. Give me the box.
Yeah.
This is what happens when your kids know about your love languages. This is my Christmas gifts. They didn't buy me presents. They just know that if I just give dad love language, see, words of affirmation, each child would say, it was great for my son because he's lousy with gifts, guys. So he just loves it. He goes, just write dad a letter. That's all you need. And he went, cool. And that's what I got for a decade was, a letter from my son. But this is what they do. And it's like, okay, you guys, you really took the short route. I love it. I can't believe it. It's just so amazing. You guys. As a dad, I need this. This is my love language.
That's beautiful.
So you got to teach your kids.
Looks like they used your cricket too.
Yeah, this is pre-cricket, but they did a good job. It dazzled the heck out of it.
Yeah. And I think too, to point out that, I like to write little notes to people. So certainly my second one is words of affirmation, even though that might not be someone's main, number one love language, doesn't mean we shouldn't do some of those other things too, right?
Yes, absolutely. We have all five.
Right.
After we lean towards a couple of the top two, but we need all five. Yeah. You can't put somebody in a box. We're multi-dimensional people, and we're all over the place. I like them all. We all love them all. We all need them all. Yeah. And that's really the understanding of it is that when you know what people lean towards and what their go-to is. I'll give you share one more quick story. I know we're hitting time, but we're over time, but that's what we do. So I got to share this story with you. It's a personal story of one that really got me into the topic itself. And that was in my family, we have a relationship that I ended up having an intervention where it was a dad that, he needed an intervention. And so it was people that brought letters and they were dealing with alcoholism. It was a tough situation. And in these letters, one of the things that jumped out was the oldest son sharing with his father about how he missed his father. He never had his father growing up. And that he was never told that he was loved. You never said it once. And it was everything that you think of in an intervention. It was emotional, it was hard, it was challenging. But he had the courage to tell him what he was missing. And it was, you never said, I loved you. And the response from the dad is something I will never forget, which was, I never missed a single game in high school. I was at every single game. I never missed one. How could you say I never loved you? I was there every time. And what that illuminated in my brain was both of them had no clue about the other. Yeah. They weren't focusing on the other. The father's love language was time. And so he was showing love in time, but he wasn't aware that his son's love language was words of affirmation. I appreciate that you're here. It's probably low on the list of time. So it's not that I didn't appreciate you being here, but I needed you to say it.
Mhm.
And they
Mhm.
missed, they were ships passing in the night. They
Mm.
wasted an entire life. And it was the saddest thing in my life. I saw it. I went, I'm getting good at this. It's not happening in my family.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a good thing. It's such a good thing.
It is. It
If you
is.
can nip it in the bud and build stronger teams at church, ooh, what a quick way to get the conversations going, because we all need it.
Right, right. And I think for you to practice it at home too helps you to come to your ministry in your work,
Yeah.
it with a full tank, right? With your love language filled or at least contributed to. And I think during the pandemic here, this, the last year and a half, I really feel bad for those people who like physical touch or quality time are like
Right.
their main love languages, right? Because that has been so missing from our world. And so excited that we are opening back up and that we can, I mean, I see people doing the elbow the elbow bump, but I'm like, at least it's something to connect with people, right? And
Yeah.
so those are the two the two individuals or the two types of the love languages that I think have suffered the most.
Yeah. So pay attention, because that might not be your love language, but there are people that's their number one and they're really suffering. That's a good word, because I think they have been for a year.
Yeah. And so we can pour into them in that side hug or the elbow, whatever we can do to, give them some affirmation and love in that way. So we hope that you will explore the 5 Love Languages book and the quick little test you can take to discover your love language, share it with those on your team and in your family. And it will really enrich your ministry, your work. And I think just the knowledge, right? The knowledge of giving different than you receive and practicing that skill.
Yep.
Any
Lord wants
final,
us to get past ourselves.
that's right. Right.
Yep.
What a great thing to teach a teenager. I mean, and us old folks too. Right. Any final words, Michael, as we wrap up today?
No, I just really appreciate this topic, and I really can't encourage you enough to go and start the conversation with your family, start the conversation with your kids, your family, start the conversation with your teams, and you will not regret it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for joining us today. God bless you. Enjoy this final week of May. We'll be back next week with PFY Live again on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central Time. Thanks so much, Michael. God
You're
bless.
welcome.
Hope you dry out down there.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, you too. Enjoy the spring, summer.
Yes. Thanks.